You're strolling in my home. Oh, what's this? What is really at the center of the universe? Huh. This is interesting. But who is this?
Hello, boys and girls. I am Yooniverse. I can feel the earth moving in revolutions. Why? Because the sun is obviously circling around the earth. Allow me to explain why. There are 27 spheres existing in our universe right now. These celestial spheres all rotate with respect to the center of the universe, the Earth. Everything in our universe rotates to the same center. The planets, the sun, and the moon each have their respective spheres. I call this system the system of concentric spheres. The moon has 3 spheres, which explains the rising and setting of the moon, and it rotates around the earth each month. The sun also has 3 spheres.
Actually, the sun does not rotate around any planet, so it does not have a 3rd sphere, but Yooniverse doesn't know that.
Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn each have 4 spheres. Finally, the stars have 1 sphere. Everything revolves around the earth. The earth rotates only upon its axis, which means it is the center of the universe. The moon is the closest to the earth. Then the planets come afterwards, respectively. Mercury, Venus, the sun.
Wait, that's a star.
Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. I also calculated that the variation in latitude of the moon was plus or minus 5 degrees, and the angle between the equator and the ecliptic, which is the angle of which the sun rotated around Earth, is 1/15 of a circle, or 24 degrees. They rotate around Earth in a circular path, but in a very peculiar way. This peculiar rotation can be explained with the homocentric sphere system. Every planet, star, or moon rotates on the axis of Earth's center. Yes. Their trajectories follow a circle around Earth. On this path, planets also rotate on an elliptical shape along the sphere. As the planets rotate around Earth, they also move in a small circular motion, similar to drawing a circle while looping a pencil. I will demonstrate this using this Expo marker. Obviously not from the... So they move like this around Earth. I also have one more theory to present. The theory of proportions. The theory of proportions will most certainly be used by mathematicians in the future. In my theory, I prove the existence of 2 ratios being equal. For my theory, I explained that magnitudes are said to be in the same ratio, the first to the second and the third to the fourth, when if any equal multiples, whatever be taken of the first and third, and any equal multiples, whatever the second and fourth, the former equal multiples alike exceed, are alike equal to, or alike fall short of, the latter equal multiples respectively taken in corresponding order. Now I know what you're thinking. That was very complicated. If any number m times a are multiplied, and the same number m times c are multiplied, and another number n and b are multiplied, and the same other number and d are multiplied, then the ratios will still be equal. If m times a is greater than n times b, then m times c is greater than n times d. If m times a is equal to n times b, then m times c is equal to n times d.
That was pretty enlightening. It sounds right, and everything makes sense. But who's this guy?
Yooniverse guy was wrong. Here's what I think. From my speculation that all stars could be just suns just far away, I decided to measure the distance between the sun and the moon. I found out the sizes of the sun and the moon. From these sizes, I deduced that the sun is much bigger than the moon, which therefore means that the earth must revolve around the sun. When the moon is exactly half full, the angle of the moon to the earth to the sun is 87 degrees.
Actually, the angle is 89 degrees and 51 minutes, giving a value of 1 over 400. The sun is 400 times farther away from the earth than the moon is.
The sun is much further away from the earth than the moon is, according to this angle. Then I figured out how to measure the size of the moon using the lunar eclipse. During the lunar eclipse, I measured the duration of the time between the moment when the edge of the moon first entered the umbra and the moment when the moon was first totally obscured by the earth. From my experiment, I concluded that the width of the earth's shadow at the distance where the moon crosses earth's shadow, it must be twice the diameter of the moon. Therefore, the moon must be about half as big as the earth.
Actually, the moon is 1/4 the size of the earth.
Since the sun and moon have the same angular size, and since the sun is 19 times further than the moon, then the sun must be 19 times larger than the moon. However, because of the inability to be able to witness the stars, I am unable to truly find the distance by using the stellar parallax. The parallax shows one can determine the distance by viewing a star from two different angles. When a viewpoint is changed, the object seems to be in motion. Therefore, by using these two different angles, one can determine the point where the angle crosses. Since distance measurement by parallax can be as simple as using the principle of triangulation, where it is said that any side of a triangle can be measured as long as one side is known. But alas, so far these stars are that viewing even a star is a feat too great.
This presents to me an entirely new perspective on this heliocentrism and geocentrism baloney. I'll keep on reading.
Hello, I'm Ptolemy, and I agree with you, Doxus. Here's what I think. Each planet is moved by a system of two spheres, one called its deferent and the other its epicycle. The deferent is a circle whose center point, called the eccentric, and marked in the diagram with an X, is removed from the Earth. The original purpose of its eccentric was to account for the differences of the lengths of the seasons. Autumn is the shortest by a week or so. By placing the Earth away from the center of rotation of the rest of the universe. Another sphere, the epicycle, is embedded inside the deferent sphere and is represented by the smaller dotted line to the right. A given planet then moves around the epicycle. At the same time, the epicycle moves along the path marked by the deferent. These combined movements can cause the given planet to move closer to and further away from the Earth at different points in its orbit, and explain the observation that planets stopped and moved backward in retrograde motion, and then again reversed to resume normal or prograde motion.
Both seem true, but which theory makes more sense? That's it, I got it! The widely accepted theory is currently the geocentric theory, which states that the Earth is the center of the universe. However, after seeing so many flaws and questionable ideas in Eudoxus's and Ptolemy's proposals, however, it seems that Aristarchus had the right idea, which is heliocentric theory. There are some holes in Aristarchus' ideas as well, but I already know the errors of the calculations. Contrary to what many self-centered individuals believe, the sun is the center of the universe, not the Earth.
Go.
Oh, what is this book?
What is really at the center of the universe?
Okay.
This is interesting. Who's this?
not even the full name.
Much farther away from the Earth than the Moon is, according to this angle. Then I figured out how to measure the size of the Moon using the lunar eclipse. Hello there. During the lunar eclipse, I measured the duration of the time between the moments when the edge of the Moon first entered the umbra and the moment when the Moon was first totally obscured by the Earth.
Actually, the sun does not rotate around any planet, so it does not have a third sphere. But Eudoxus doesn't know that. 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 Eudoxus doesn't know that.